Hi everyone, so today I'm taking a look at the OneMix 1S. So this is one of those mini laptops here that seem to actually be quite popular. The last one that I did review was Chewy's mini book, and it surprised me getting a lot of interest, a lot of views. So I'm checking out another one here. So this one is a 7-inch one, so the resolution is 1920 by 1200. It is powered by the Intel Celeron 3965Y. That is a Kaby Lake. It's only a dual-core one. It's quite a low-powered chip, so I don't expect this to have amazing power. But hopefully the battery life is going to be at least decent with this. Now it does have 128 gigabytes PCIe SSD. I believe it is part of the motherboard soldered on, so you cannot actually upgrade that, but there might be room inside for an M.2 slot. I will take a peek in this video, of course. And we also have 8 gigabytes of RAM with this, which is a DDR3 spec. So let's take a look at it. So I got this OneMix 1S here from geekbuying.com. You can see the box has reasonable protection there for the little tiny laptop. In that box on the right, you will find the charger, as it states, with a Type-C cable. So it's Type-C to Type-C. Now the output of this charger is 30 watts and it does support power delivery. And that just leaves a quick start guide, which is in English and Chinese. The official stats state that it weighs 550 grams. It's in fact 546, slightly lighter there, so it's very portable and of course a nice little size. And the thickness of it comes out to be a fraction over 20 millimeters. So for ports, you'll find them all on the right hand side here. We have a 3.5mm headphone jack that supports microphones, SD card reader, which unfortunately is a Realtek one that is only USB 2 spec, so you get rather slow write speeds there with that one. Then of course we have that power delivery Type-C port, USB 3.1, so it's charging, data, and video. Now the video output is only 4K 30Hz. I could not get 4K 60Hz out of this, so it's not HDMI spec. Neither is that micro HDI port. To comment on the charge time as well, it's about 2 hours and 25 minutes or so approximately to fully charge it. And we have a full-sized USB 3 port. Now on the back we have the exit vent for the tiny little fan and the little transfer heat pipe that is inside here. Now you do hear this fan, it makes a little bit of noise, so if you want a passively cooled 100% silent mini PC, little laptop, that is not the one to go for, this one here, because of the noise of it. On the bottom, just like some of these other mini PCs I've looked at, especially the ones from OneMix, you've got the intake vent here for that little fan and 4 rubber feet. Now accessing the internals is not too tricky. You just have to remove those 6 screws on the bottom and then pry off the rear alloy lid. But there's no point going here, no point going inside because you cannot add an SSD. I just wanted to confirm that it does not have an M.2 slot in there that could take the 2242. So not possible, no upgrades whatsoever. RAM is all soldered on and so is that PCI SSD. And there is a single loudspeaker right here. There's a little cooling fan that you will definitely hear as mentioned, and they do have a nice amount of copper in here, and you can see they've gone overboard their factory, their assembly line with the thermal paste. There's a lot of it seeping out on the side there. And just to confirm the battery, so it is a 6,500 milliamp hours or 25 watt hour battery. That's going to last anywhere from about 4.5 to 6 hours depending on what you're doing. Now the BIOS is completely locked out to us. There are no advanced settings, so we cannot tweak anything in here. It's only useful for changing the system date and time from the BIOS there, and just if you wanted to boot, for example, a USB pen drive, you'd have to go into here, go to the Save and Exit menu, and then select that drive to boot from it. And like the OneMix 2S that I reviewed, you can use it like a normal little laptop, a rather chunky 7-inch Windows tablet, tent mode, and lastly in the presentation mode. So because this little laptop is basically the exact same laptop as the Mix 2S that I reviewed, it has the same screen in here. It's a very decent, fully laminated IPS panel with a maximum brightness of 650 lux. Adobe RGB is 71%, very good for what it is, and an sRGB color gamut of 93%. So really good. But the problem is, it's such a tiny screen. So it's got the brightness, and you can see right now it is shimmering a little right here. So why this is happening is the pulse width modulation controlling the screen brightness. The good thing is it's only on camera. So this is right now at 50% brightness. It does dim down a reasonable amount, but to me, I would actually like to see this a little bit dimmer. And if I would increase it now, I'll just put it right up to 100%. It is very bright. So that screen, unfortunately, still is shimmering away, but just on camera, as mentioned. So the bezels left and right, they are massive, they are big. and they didn't include a webcam, so exactly the same as the 2S model. You get a microphone, but you do not unfortunately get the webcam there, which would have been nice if they could have included that in there, for example, Skype video calls. Now, if you know my channel and you have been following me for a while when I've been covering these tiny ultra mobile PCs, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of their keyboards. They are all compromises, always about compromises, because they have such huge space constraints. It makes sense. It's a 7-inch laptop. They've got to have squeezed in a few keys and changed things around a bit. So I don't particularly like the location of the tab up here. I'm having a little bit trouble with the punctuation, so often I will end up tapping one of these by mistake. And really, it takes a lot of adjustment to get used to typing on such a small keyboard for me. So we have the optical track point right here, and this does work well. You can increase the sensitivity of it. Fingerprint reader here for Windows Hello. That is working fine. It just takes about 2 seconds, 1 to 2 seconds, logs you in. So of course, faster than typing out a password. And the overall keys, they have a nice rubber finish to them. The size of them is good, and the feedback you get from these too. They are very quiet to type on, so they're not loud, clicky style keys at all, so you're not going to irritate other people using this. It's just for me that I find this layout very awkward, and if you do have big hands, large fingers, you will struggle typing on this. So really, for me, it's just for single lines. I would not be typing out a full essay or anything like that on such a small keyboard. Moving on now to the performance. Once you multitask a little bit, the performance on this ultramobile PC I find to be abysmal. Actually, it's bad, really bad. It's worse than, say, the Gemini Lake. Many PCs that are out there. Just take a look at the scrolling performance here. A little bit laggy, but when you minimize and maximize things, so just moving over, you can see how choppy this becomes. It's just the animations seem a little bit slow. So right here I have the SSD. I'll just bring that up now, just benchmarked it. And it's not that quick for a PCIe SSD. Slightly faster than SATA 3 on the reads, and that is basically it. So that's disappointing right there. And when we take a look at the Geekbench 4 score, you can see that animation there. It's just laggy, everything. And even just scrolling on this doesn't seem as fast as it should be because of those 2 cores only clocked at 1.5 gigahertz. So single core score, that is about the same as, say, the Gemini Lake, but the multi-core score is lacking by at least 2,000 points over the Gemini Lake. So overall, I'm not going to go too much into performance, but even spreadsheets and editing documents, a little bit laggy. So really, I can't recommend it at all for doing pretty much anything due to just how poor it performs. So I thought, okay, the poor performance, it must be down to thermal throttling, but the thermals turn out to be actually very good. It will hardly get warm at all, and the fan will come on at 60 degrees, and that will stop it from really going over that and drop it back down to about 45. Now, if you game, it will then get quite a bit warmer. You'll hear the fan on all the time, and as mentioned, the fan is annoying. So it's just like the 2S model with the fan noise, but most of the time the fan isn't on. So this is a 15-watt processor, as you can see. Like, say, the Core M3s could get up to the 15 watts. Well, this is a KB Lake. And really just the performance is so poor on this. And I want to just throw this in here as well, at just how poorly this is performing. So look at all the frames it's dropping. This is only 1080p YouTube. Extremely choppy. At times it's like a slideshow. And if I go along here, look at that. You can see it now. Look at that just stuttering along as it's going. Super poor performance. And even dropping this down. Oh, even this is lagging the menu. It's so laggy, this menu right here. Just if you dropped it down to, say, 360p, even then it's going to drop frames. What a terrible chipset this is. Okay, everyone, now you're not going to blame me if I decide to throw my towel in with this one. I'm not going to review it. I'm not going to go any further with this at all. The One Mix 1S is a complete waste of time. Go for the Core M3 version, which at least has about quadruple the power of this. It's just too laggy. It's just too slow to recommend. I hope that no one goes out and buys this. There's a lot better options if you want an ultra mobile PC. There, of course, is the Chewy Minibook. And then, as mentioned, you've got the 2S and various other different models out there. So Linux support, it's going to be able to run it, but you might run into a few issues with drivers. The wireless transmission speeds as well seem to be slower than expected for the Intel 3165. There is just a huge list of cons that just go on and on and on with this. The form factor is good, the portability, the screen, The single loudspeaker, I haven't given you a sample in this video. It sounds okay for what it is, but really that is it. One to avoid. Thank you so much for watching this, and sadly, yes, you did waste your time probably watching it because it's not a good device and another lemon for the channel.